Many people, it was 4 years, but many people say it was one of the most successful presidencies ever. Some people say it was the most successful presidency.
Nobody said it was the most successful presidency. The only person that said that is you. And when you say many people, you always mean you. It's you, you're in a monologue, it's your decision, you're putting it out there, hoping that other people might also think that there are other people that are thinking this when it's just you. You are the only person that thinks it was the most successful presidency in the history of presidencies. Carry on.
When I get back into the Oval Office, I will totally obliterate the deep state. They will be obliterated.
Let's be clear what the deep state means to Donald Trump and to his supporters. Well, let me caveat that with saying that to his supporters, they have no idea what it means. The deep state is a convenient phrase that makes it sound like there's a them and an us, that there is somehow an organization, be it the government or be it officials or establishment leaders that are against Trump and Trump supporters. Well, if that's the case, then what he's talking about is obliterating the very government that he runs. If he wants to be the president again, it's his government. And he talks about the deep state like it's separate to him. And so therefore, what he's effectively leading to is that he wants to rewrite the way that the civil service operates so that everybody is answerable to the executive branch and to Donald Trump.
And we know all the good ones now. When I went there, I'd only been to Washington 17 times in my life, according to the fake news, and 17 times, and never stayed there. So I wasn't a Washington establishment person.
He likes to paint himself as an anti-establishment character, that he'd only been to Washington 17 times. I mean, despite the fact that the guy has a massive hotel there. The point is that this kind of separation, trying to give the impression that he's an everyman and that he's not involved in politics, is not true. He was bribing politicians. He was constantly doing his best to kind of get behind certain politicians and not others, including supporting Democrat candidates several times. He's full of contradiction. And the point here is that he is trying to, again, paint himself as the alternative to Washington politicians, when in fact he is as deep into the deep state as they come. He is the swamp that he claimed to drain.
But I didn't know the people. I had to rely on people to give me names. And largely we got great names. We got the tax cut. We did so much. We rebuilt our military. But there are people that I wouldn't have put there. And I will fire all of these corrupt bureaucrats, because now, better than maybe anybody else, I know the great ones, I know the smart ones, I know the dumb ones, I know the weak ones, I know the stupid ones.
He got good people. He didn't know anybody, but he was given names, and then he used those people, and then, they turned out not to be good people, but he knows who the good people are now. Of course, good people means people that are prepared to lie for him and support him and not follow the law, just do Donald Trump's autocratic bidding. He is a criminal surrounded by criminals. It's very much a kind of mob environment when you work with Donald Trump, either as him as a president or him as a private citizen running a private business. He is the leader of the mob, and if you don't kiss the ring, you're not going to get very far.
But I know the ones because I know everybody in Washington. I got a PhD in learning about the people of Washington.
Hang on a second. 1 minute ago, you just said that you'd never been to Washington, or that the fake news media said you'd only been 17 times, and that you're not a Washington person. And now you're telling us that you have a PhD in Washington. Make your mind up. Which is it? Are you an everyman who's not a politician, or are you marinating in politics? Pick one. Stick with it. Because this is just making it more obvious that you're lying. You're lying about everything. And you're a terrible liar.
And those people that I introduced a little while are at the top of the list, too, I will tell you that. And we will create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship.
A Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I mean, it's as if Vladimir Putin tapped him on the shoulder, probably did in Helsinki, and said, look, mate, all I need is just to declassify everything, get everything out there, pretend that you're doing it because you're trying to be transparent, but actually you're just going to share national secrets with me and all of your adversaries. Thank you very much. Trump's so dumb, he would literally be like, yeah, that's a really good idea.
And all of the corruption that's gone on in our country.
The irony of Donald Trump complaining about all of the corruption that's gone on in the country when his 4 years were probably the most corrupt in American political history. And, let's not forget that this guy is twice impeached, indicted, accused and now convicted sex abuser, and now is obviously up for even more charges. He overturned the election. That was his plan. He committed a coup against the United States. And how is it that we are still considering this guy as a candidate for president in November 2024? It doesn't make any sense to me. This is probably one of the most blatantly obvious criminals in American history, and the system just allows the guy to run for president again. Now, admittedly, there's a good chance that he'll be prosecuted and maybe incarcerated before next year, but those are for crimes that he's actually committed. This is not because someone is out to get him. It's not because Joe Biden has insisted. Joe Biden hasn't got a clue what's going on. Donald Trump has made his own bed, and he has to lie in it. He could have given documents back to the FBI when they asked nicely twice, and he didn't. He withheld. And now we're hearing that there is even more material that is being discovered in the possession of Donald Trump that he claimed he'd returned. We're dealing with a man who cannot tell the truth, and that his plan for 2024 is to completely uproot the American system of democracy, to make sure that there's nobody working for the civil service who isn't a Trump supporter, making sure that the entire pillar of democracy is just pointing in Trump's direction so that he can continue to keep winning. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does what Vladimir Putin has done, change the rules to say that he can just keep running year after year after year. As Putin has been in power for 22 years, and there's no sign of him wanting to take a back seat. So be careful what you wish for. Why Donald Trump is allowed to be a candidate considering his criminality towards the US. It's not like he is committing a crime to some individual, some citizen. To the US. It's the US versus Donald Trump. And still, he could become president. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5-Minute News podcast, on Wednesdays on MAGA Uncovered, and on Sunday hosting The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.